Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Mob Psycho 100, Season 3, Episode 10. Great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. This episode did not go the direction I thought it would. Like I said last episode, I did not watch the preview. I just, based on the title, assumed what it was going to be. I was way off. And I think, obviously, for the better in a lot of ways. But yeah, Mob, immediately picking up where the last episode left off, Mob loses control of himself. Now, I don't know if it's a thing of like all the anxiety and everything he's feeling has been bubbling beneath the surface, and then just either it's just like a culmination of that and him being like knocked unconscious and him stressing so much it just like broke him a little bit. Whatever the case may be, it seems like for the most part, it seems like he's kind of essentially in his like that question marked form of his, which we haven't really contended with that in a while. I want to say the last time we even saw a spark of it was last season when, like, at the very end of one episode where Mob thought his family was dead, and then, like, we saw him kind of, like, jump to that form, but it was only for a split second because Dimple was able to kind of rein him back in the next episode. But this time, like, Mob kind of unintentionally goes on a rampage. Obviously, he's on autopilot because his power is like reaching out. It's affecting like the electronics in the city. It's also like causing earthquakes and rumbles. And for Mob, it's just like I said, he's so driven by his desire to go see Tsubomi that nothing else really matters. So this is where we get into the rival element of the episode, where Tsuruki shows up, and it is an interesting and beautiful parallel on like, even Tsuruki brings up like, yo, this is kind of like the first time we met, but we're kind of on opposite ends, where it's like Mob was kind of the hero, Tsuruki was the antagonist. Now Tsuruki's in this situation of like, no, this is my friend, I'm trying to calm you down, but you are too powerful for me. I mean, it's just, once again, it's interesting. Once again, you flip things around because like Tsuruki was the one that was like bashing Mob around and stuff like that, and now we see the opposite of it, and like Tsuruki can't really do anything. But I'd love that he's just like, yo, I got stronger too, because basically I observed you and I was inspired by you to like grow even stronger, become a better person too. Because for him, it's like, I see you, Mob. You Kageyama, you taught me that I'm an average person because I rely on my powers. Like, the fact is that I hold on to that so much, I thought it made me special. Like, special is living every day without relying on them, just being yourself and embracing who you are without having to use your powers. And it's like, that's what you've always done, Mob. You haven't let your powers define you. You've always let you define you, and found yourself at the center of all of this, not, letting your powers define you. And for him, it's like the Kageyama I know would never like use his powers to hurt people. And so Tsuruki is doing everything he can to try and stop Mob, even to the point that he I think it's kind of interesting too, if you notice, like he used his scarf as like I'm channeling my power through it, but rather than turning it into a sword like he did in the past, he's using it to try and restrain Mob in this situation, which is, once again, so interesting considering he was trying to push Mob to break Mob of like, to use more of his powers the first time they fought and met, and now he's doing everything he can to restrain Mob's power, because they've come to a very special understanding of all that they've been through. And there's something that's really beautiful. That's why I was like, this not being the Mogami thing I thought it might be, I'm actually, because it makes it that much more heartbreaking and more powerful, knowing like that what's stemming from this situation. Tsuruki tried to like destroy the flowers, because I guess he's thinking like, right, the flowers and focusing on Tsubumi is like the thing that's kind of like at the epicenter of this. So if like you destroy the thing that's like kind of acting as kind of like his autopilot focus, then maybe it'll help snap him out of it. But it's like he's so deep in this that he like Tsuruki can't even reach him. But I mean, that moment he grabs Tsuruki and like tosses him and sends him spiraling into the city. It's just like, oh God, you're kind of feeling bad for Tsuruki, because the last time we saw him kind of get messed up like this, I mean, not even to this, would be like him and Mob's first fight in season 1, but like, he kind of got pretty jacked up during his fight with Shimazaki, but still, man, it's just, and just him being kind of like this relentless thing, causing damage everywhere he goes. Everyone's afraid, and like, how are you going to like undo this? Because like people have never fully been in the epicenter of like these drag out knuckle fights. Because even like, because the city was already kind of evacuated to some extent, like when everything went down near the end of last season. But like this is the first time we're seeing like there are like just casual civilians all around, and Taruki is trying to do everything he can to like stop, Mob from hurting people. But it's like, right, I'm gonna try and reach out to you. I know you're there somewhere. Because he remembers that fight. He's like, I remember you were crying. You were upset about losing control of yourself like that. I know who you are underneath, and you're out there. You're begging for someone to stop you, even in this moment. And he's just trying to wake Mob up, and Mob wakes up, but he still can't control himself. He can't stop himself, but his consciousness is awake, buried beneath all of that power and all of that. And then he kind of basically puts Tsuruki back into the state he was at the end of their fight, butt naked, like the center of his head. Like I don't know if Mob like buzzed it again, but it's most likely like the kind of toupee-esque thing that he has. Like I guess kind of implying in all this time his hair still hasn't grown back in that point in time. Once again, I feel him. I feel seen through Taruki's character in that capacity. But because of that, like I guess just like finally the toupee kind of completely flew off, which is like the last time you saw him slightly like this was during the OVA that takes place between season 2 and 3, the one that focuses on like Serizawa's kind of like that kind of work retreat thing that they had. That was the last time they kind of really kind of focused or referenced that. So, but for him to be back in that state, but then he's just like kind of saying like, "Ha!" Like I'm going to butcher it, but paraphrasing it, I thought was a beautiful moment where he's using his powers and showing like how much stronger he's become. But he's like, "I'm your rival," and then it shows that he ended up saving all those people from underneath the rubble. So he ends up tossing those people like further away before passing out. It's his last bit of power he's using to save everyone else. So like that Mob isn't responsible for hurting people. But then Mob just keeps going along. Hard cut to some former scars. Koyama and the glasses dude had to working at like a convenience store, and it's just like hey, I told you need to basically take the things that are nearing the expiration date, put them at front and center. But Koyama's like, no, I want to give our customers the best possible thing. And he was talking about like, oh, do you? The glasses dude was like, the darkest thing you could ever come across is someone buying like some kind of salad and then having to toss it like a 3 hours, it's been sitting out for 3 hours, and then someone having to immediately toss it because of it. And he's like, that's the darkest thing ever. And it's like, right, like he ended up getting Koyama a job here. It becomes that conversation of sometimes you just have to follow orders, even though Koyama's like, I don't think that's the best for the customers. He doesn't think that's right. But it's like, yeah, you kind of have to do the mandates of just following orders, which is interesting considering like they got a that's part of being a part of society, being an adult, like having to follow orders you might not always agree with to some extent. But it's interesting considering like what they used to be scars and they had to follow orders as well. So there's an interesting parallel there. But yeah, they cross paths with Mob, and it's like, hey, he wants to try and cause damage to this convenience store, then we'll stop him. They charge at him and most likely gets wiped because, well, Mob's already like beat Koyama even without even being in his form. And the more Mob's going on in his state, the more and more of his power is growing and leaking out. Now like it's getting spread around the city about what's going on, especially the picture of Mob. And so people who know him at school, like I think like the Body Improvement Club, Masato, the telepathy club are all seeing like, yo, it's Mob. And even, because initially Reagan's like, oh, we don't have to worry about Mob, he's going totally fine. But then Sarasawa shows him the photo and he's like, oh my god, it's Mob. And so the people that care about him the most are kind of finding out about this, and they don't know what it is. But I think that's the point, that these people are going to be like, yo, Mob's in trouble, he needs help. The people that are around him that he helps are obviously have been there to help him too. Like, he has his circle of people around him that care about him. I think they're going to be essential to dragging him back and pulling him back. Sad too, because we cut to Tsubomi as well, where she's just kind of like, right, she doesn't have Mob's phone number, so she's like, oh, I wonder, will he show up? And it's like, like I said, I think, I don't know, we'll see how this all plays out, but I get the feeling like Mob either will show up there late and she'll be gone, or she will still be there after everything is all said and done, and just it won't go the way Mob wants it to. Like I said, I think his anxiety about all of this, like, it's all culminating in this, and I think it's just too much for him to handle, and it's kind of broken him a little. But then we get a nice little twist at the end where, like, there's a helicopter. It's that special unit from last season, that guy who infiltrated Claw to get close to them. That guy's here, and he's got basically some convicts with them. They're like, hey, you go deal with this situation, you'll basically be reducing your sentence. I was like, Sho's dad's got to be here, right? And lo and behold, he is, because he recognizes Mob's power. He feels it even in the helicopter, so he ends up knocking out the other ones. And it just, I think for him, it's like, you kind of saved me in a lot of ways, so I want to try and do right, put good back out there by also helping you. I mean, because we've seen like a little bit of like where some of the members of Claw have kind of spread out and doing their own thing. I thought it was interesting because, like, the guy who's flying the helicopter is one of his former subordinates too, and I love he gets out of the helicopter, doesn't even have a parachute. The guy was like, "Yo, don't you need a parachute?" It's like, no, he doesn't. So that's going to be interesting to see, like, this rematch once again on the flip side of the Teruyuki thing, because Mob was able to reach to Sho's dad last season. It's going to be interesting to see if he's able to do the same, because we'll probably catch up with him and see, like, well, how much has changed for you in all of this time, how much you've continued to grow and change and bettered yourself, versus like who you were fighting Mob at the end of last season. I'm also so curious to see what the aftermath of this is going to be for Mob. Like, I mean, people are going to be like, oh, recognize the uniform, but who knows how many people are going to really be able to identify Mob. He's going to have the guilt of, I did all of this, and that's going to eat away at him, but I think that's what the people around him are going to make him feel okay about it. I'm also curious, and something I'm wondering by the end of this series, will Mob lose his powers? Like, I wonder, will it be a thing of he channels all his powers and gets rid of them? Or will it be a thing of, no, his powers will always be a part of... I'm curious to see how they handle it, because I could easily see this being a thing of he becomes just a normal kid by the end of this series because he burns away all his powers or intentionally destroys them, whatever the case may be. There's also probably a good, strong possibility. It feels like it could easily go either way, of him keeping his powers and just they're always going to be a part of him, or him just getting rid of them or losing them somehow. I'm so curious to see how this shakes up and plays out. We're going into the penultimate episode of the series. I'm excited to see how this all plays out, what this showdown even looks like. You get the feeling like it's going to be wild. So we'll see how it all shakes up and plays out. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.